It smells so low, I'm ready to go.
Dumelang bana ba dikgoši le dikgošigadi ke ngwanyane la go rata ke modimo le mangelo ya kere. Welcome to the Sisonke podcast,
a brand that stands for all things owning your power.
It sounds like home. Everybody literally wants to take the set home every time they come here.
In other words, we have conversations with individuals from different walks of life, understanding that how did you get to the point of owning your true power, and what did you do to get to that point of owning that power?
Dumelang bana ba dikgoši le dikgošigadi ke ngwanyane la go rata ke modimo le mangelo ya kere. Welcome to another episode of the Sisonke podcast, a brand that stands for all things owning your power. On this podcast, we open up conversation with different individuals from different walks of life to try and understand how did you come to the realization of your true power and what did you do to get to that point of owning your power. We believe that confidence is something that comes from within you, and we also believe that clothing and fashion statements are a big part of that process. I'm your host, Suhoran Lesilani, and joining me in studio today is a multifaceted individual. She started off braiding people's hair and just being a hairstylist in general, and a practicing nurse, and now currently she's newly qualified doctor, Dr. Sisonke Gomomo. Welcome, Sisi.
Thank you so much. It is an honor for me to be here.
You look absolutely beautiful in your Sisonke dress, and everything is just working.
Thank you so much. Sisi,
I'm very interested in understanding your upbringing and where you come from as a person.
Okay. The upbringing yam ingachonistilanga if we can go deep into the explicit details. So it would be lovely to just pick on the things that made it clear journey that people can understand. Ngoba ukula uzalwa nzalole Eastern Cape. I'm a Eastern Cape born and bred there. And that when I started to mature a bit, ndahlala Cape Town, and those are my teens years. That's where I started hustling. And my parents were not comfortable with that because I'm the youngest on the girls, so they felt like I'm still a baby. And what was even worse that time was the fact that I had a teenage pregnancy. So it was something that made it more and more difficult for them to trust the process. So ndaye ndasebenzisa older sister wam to just buy their hearts because they trusted her as a deputy parent to make that. That's how I ended up in Cape Town. And when I got there, I didn't want to be a baby. I just had this dream of wanting to be a doctor because it's something that I wanted since I was young. From the age of 9, I used to have this conversation with my father. I want to be a doctor. And he would be like, no, you don't wake up being a doctor. You need to go to school for 7 years to become a doctor. Well, ndahlala Cape Town with my sister and started doing hair for a living because that was the best thing I could do. So after I delivered my baby, I continued doing the hair as a way of living, and the only thing that was keeping me going was church. Like I would go around Cape Town looking for different branches of church to keep going because there was this thing in me telling me that I failed my parents, I embarrassed them and all that. But there was one thing that kept on ringing in my head that no, man, your mistakes are not who you are, and they will never define your future. You've got tomorrow. Make use of that. Run with it. God is a faithful God. Uyabizwa eBhayibhelini with all the things. So make use of that. So that's when I started believing that, okay, maybe if I can trust him with the process of doing hair and his mele and not expect my parents to do things. They were working, both working, but then I just needed that sense of ownership of my mistakes because we had the pregnancy and all that. And I was a pure Kasi girl. So, even they too, was expecting to. So I did my hair. Okay, now I want to go back to school, man, because I might do hair until when? Until when? I tried the restaurants out with my hair featuring, but I was like, no, I think I'm better off with the hair.
What do you mean tried the restaurant?
I went to look for a job in the restaurant. I didn't survive Iviki. Yo, umkolo ushushu. Like, you're like, yo, no. And that time, I didn't even have social life because 90% of my time I'm at work. The little time that I get is to just do my laundry and all that. And I sent my son at home and stayed in Cape Town trying to make this thing. And my mom didn't believe in this. What a 15-year-old can build.
So you were 15 at the time when you moved to Cape Town and you were
So
pregnant.
it was a serious
Yeah.
teenage pregnancy.
Yeah.
Like, yes. So, yes, I continued to do the hair. I went to the restaurant. I worked 1 week. I didn't survive. Kwakushushu, kubuhlungu, and the money was not even satisfactory. Ibiphelela ku-transport. Dayeka. And then I tried Checkers. I got the job at Checkers as a cashier, but then they wanted to teach me till picking first and all that. It was better at Checkers, but then I felt like it's going to hinder me with this doctor dream because I didn't have enough time to study. So now I'm okay, let me just focus with braiding hair. So my sister's salon was in the Cassis. So I felt like I don't get enough exposure. I looked for a better salon. I found a nice one, which was in town in Gryfontein there. Then that's when I met different women who wanted me to do them, especially in their own houses.
Privately.
Yes.
So you became a private hairstylist.
Yes.
I just want to take our conversation a little bit back because you say you were pregnant when you were 15. Now, I had the previous guest that I have is an activist of young people under like consent age getting pregnant. I don't know if it will be me pushing it if I go in that direction to try and understand. At the age of 15, did you get pregnant by someone your age or someone that was like older, way older than you? Like, what was the situation
For
there?
me, it was my age. For starters, it was the very first time I was naughty, and the very first time became first time for everything. So, yes, because is 1 year older than me. So when I was 15, he was 16.
You were 16.
Yes.
Okay.
So it was those
It was the naughty kids being naughty, basically. Yeah.
And things happened.
Yeah.
So yes. So yeah, and I could there's a salon, and then I went back to school. And while I was doing the school thinking, that's when now I got clients who booked me. It's okay, after school you can bring your books, we'll fetch you and do that. Then I was like, I started building on that and saving money for my son so that I can show my mom and my dad that I'm responsible. Even if I made a mistake, I disappointed people and all that, I'm still a responsible person. So saving up money, making sure that whenever I go home, my son has clothing, and then I save money to get things for my books. So with that process, I gained the confidence because I started doing very well at school, in so much that I got a bursary that was willing to pay for me from high school up to varsity. But unfortunately, I wanted to leave Western Cape and come to Gauteng, and the bursary was not covering Gauteng. It was covering Eastern Cape, Western Cape, Northern Cape, and that was it. So when I moved in this side, I had to start over. And, clientele of the saloon didn't go well as it was flourishing in Cape Town. And Cape Town I was well known. My hand, even if it's like, if you are staying in Joburg, let's say Joburg, Soweto, let's talk about Soweto, which is a known place, and you meet someone who has been done by me, let's say in Mall of Africa, trust me, you would ask,
know that's Sisonke's hand.
That's how good I was. Everybody wanted me. Even when they had this new doctor thing, they didn't believe it. They know that girl who used to braid
hair.
Yes, that's how I was known. The braider, the salon girl. And even when I left Cape Town, I left it as a braider, the salon girl, because I was still at school. So I came this side. I continued with my high school because I couldn't get easy clientele. I looked for another job. And that time, the one that was available was the Star Independent newspaper. And I was working there, doing the packing of the newspaper, unpacking all that. I finished there. Then that's when I wanted to become a doctor. And because of money, I couldn't do the medicine then. And then I was forced to check anything that is available so that I can raise money to become this doctor, because the dream was still there. And then I was like, you know what, let me get something that I can relate to, something that is going to bring me close to patients. Because for me, being a doctor was not for status, was for passion, for helping people. Because I'm this, it's more like a calling, because I'm this spiritually rooted person. I everything I do, I pray, I consult God about it. and I must feel that it has been confirmed for me to do it. I don't just jump in, even if it looks so beautiful, looks so promising. So that even if it doesn't pop the way I was expecting it, I don't get disappointed, but rather pray and ask God to tell me, what is it that you want me to learn from this? So it was the basics. Sobana, dibena la discipline yobana. I'm looking for what I want. How and when do I get it? It was not a frustrating issue for me. I was so patient to get it. So I did the nursing. I did nursing with the plans of going overseas and do medicine overseas. I finished nursing. My mom didn't approve the dream of going overseas. I stayed. And I was like, I'd rather go back to medicine. I worked as a nurse.
Can I ask why your mom didn't approve of you going overseas? Because you touched very briefly about your relationship with your mom and your dad, and how when you fell pregnant as a teenager, you really wanted to take away all responsibility from them so that you can prove to them that you're actually responsible. Is that something that they imposed on you, or you felt they need that? Because I disappointed them, I need to now like work my way up. How was the support like from their sides, besides what you felt from your side that I disappointed them?
I won't lie, they supported me 100%. And looking at the fact, like I said, I'm the youngest among the girls. The person who comes after me is a last born and is a boy. So they didn't look at me as an adult or a teenager or whatsoever. I was still a baby to them. So it came as a shock. So it didn't become something that made them to neglect me or what. Instead, they became overprotective. And I felt like that is going to hinder me from growing. And now it got to the point whereby I had to stay at home, don't go to school, don't go, be raised with this baby because we are both babies. That's what I wanted to come out from.
Oh, and you did so well by coming out of that in that situation. But now why then do they stop you from trying to go overseas to pursue your medicine overseas?
My mom has attachment issues.
Oh.
She couldn't imagine the baby go. Like I said initially, that even the journey of moving from Eastern Cape and staying with my sister in Cape Town, it was not an easy thing to do. As a result, I used to go home every 3 months without fail. I think I stopped doing that when I was 23. So since I was 15 until the age of 23, every 3 months, March, June, September, December, home. I remember this other time in 2009 when I was, I wanted to watch R. Kelly's show. It was on a Monday, the 15th of July, 2009. And the schools were closed. I knew my mom would want me at home. Fortunately, that time I was doing debates. I was in a debate group and it went big because we were getting to the level of regional. So we were paired, my school and the Sea Point school. We were 4 learners, 2 from my school, myself and the other lady, and then 2 from Sea Point, and then 1 teacher, so that we make the full team of the formal caucus, informal caucus, first speaker, second speaker, chairperson, and all that, so we can compete. So we were supposed to prepare a project that was supposed to be presented at Parliament by August. So we didn't use our holiday for holiday. We were supposed to use it to prepare that project. They gave us topics like the Millennium Development Goals, you know, that 2000 project whereby most countries were given opportunity years. We were given a country to work on it, do a research so that we know exactly. So when one of us got sick, we were disqualified because they said the challenge is too high, we cannot be replaced. I used that to stay because I knew if it wasn't for that, my mom wouldn't have allowed me to stay. She said home. Holiday means home, no stay. So it gave me the opportunity to go and watch R. Kelly because he was my favorite artist.
Is he still your favorite artist?
To be honest, I don't condone all the things I've heard about him, but the work he put through, the trusting of God he displayed. You know, when you watch someone as a kid, I'm one person who don't judge a person based on their social challenges. You know that saying that says, it's so easier for you to see the sin that you are not suffering from. So I'm that person who always give a person that room, that you are not a perfect individual, but I see the good work you do. So that's why I'm saying I can still say he is my favorite person because of
the work that he has put out. Yeah.
Yes.
That's a very difficult conversation that I once had with a friend of mine who says that there's a specific song that he still listens to from his work because of he had lost both of his parents at the time, and that's what got him through that era. And for someone to look at him and say, please discard everything, it's so difficult for him to walk away from that work because of that experience. And I get where you're coming from with this. And then what happened after you got into nursing school?
I did my nursing. I became a mentor because at varsity, I was that girl. Like that girl who everybody wanted to look like, because I was a girl walking on campus with heels, like fashion and all that.
Yo.
They even said I chose the wrong career. I was supposed to do fashion designing things out there, not in health. Because the idea is that when you are in that profession of ours in health, you need to dress in a particular way. I broke all those rules. I did my calling in health to help people, but
you still like your fashion
a fashion
statements.
killer.
Yeah.
Yes. I can't do
I like
away with
that.
that.
I
So
like that.
with that, most of the students wanted to be my mentees. So unfortunately, you need to be given certain number of mentors. And all the people that I've mentored, they never stop like following things that I do. They love it because what I give it all. I've got this drive of give it your all. See how it works out. And if it doesn't pan out as you have hoped for, don't feel like you failed. Tell yourself that there's something that I haven't given attention, which has led to this. Let's see if we try it again and put more on this. That's how I see life. So my nursing journey was not an easy one because nursing as a career is a very challenging thing because it's a holistic care, which is different from medicine. You are there with the patient 24 hours and you need to do a total care. But for me, the response that I got from the patients, it made me understand that this thing is a calling for me. Because I'm naturally a very strict person. But when it comes to my patients, I become the softest person. So that built the confidence and the love for nursing. But unfortunately, the journey was focusing on the bigger picture of saving these lives. A nurse, you do take care of the person from the lowest point where they can't do anything, but you've got a limiting practicing a scope, which is why I felt the need to keep my dream of becoming a doctor alive. Because for me to make the decisions that I feel my patients need in order for them to get back to life, to get a chance to live their lives, it's when I have further unlimited scope of practice. So that's why I continued. And I had this big dream of wanting to become a specialist in the heart, which at some point it was diluted by obstetrics. Obstetrics is babies, because I always wanted what is going to bring life from the beginning. Then with the maturity and exposure to the ICUs and working in the cardiothoracic ICU, which is the heart and the chest.
And the chest, yeah.
Yes, it made me realize how much I need to listen to the calling of becoming a heart doctor. That's when now I pushed through with everything. And I don't want to lie, it was not an easy journey.
It's not an easy thing. So I'm a medical rep by profession. So I work a lot in the healthcare space, particularly in the surgical theaters. So I've also worked with cardiothoracic surgeons, and there's not many of them in the country, by the way.
100%.
Yeah, like
that's another thing.
So you aspire to be a cardiothoracic surgeon, or are you qualified?
No. Aspire to be. Remember, when you qualify after MBCHB, you have to go through 3 years of supervised work. First 2 years is completely supervision, which we called Zuma years internship, which started when Jacob Zuma became a president in 2008. Because initially it used to be after medicine, you just do community service 1 year and then you become a doctor, which is the general practitioner. Then you decide to specialize. Then in 2008, they introduced the 2 years of internship before ComServe, which is called Zuma years. That's the time, that's the period I'm still at.
Okay.
That's the time where now you are groomed. You collect your tools where you want to push your specialty, unless you don't have any intentions to become a specialist.
Okay.
So that's where I'm still at. But then after that, that's when you can start applying to specialize.
How was the transition like from being a nurse and then now pursuing medicine now to be the doctor that you are now? What was that journey like for you?
For me, it was a very exciting journey in so much that the strain that I had, I didn't recognize it until I finished. I had so many people asking me, how do you do it? From the ones that I went to school with, like in the nursing school, to those that I was studying medicine with. Because I remember some of my colleagues were like, how Sisonke, Tina, we are struggling while we are only focusing on studying medicine. When you have to study and work at the same time, how do you do it? When do you sleep? I'm like, sleep, I will do it when I'm done. Sleep for me is luxury. As long as I get an hour or two of a nap and maybe 4 hours at max, it's enough. I need to get what I need. So I was so overwhelmed with the excitement. I want to be a doctor, and I finally made it. And I prayed for that. I prayed because it was not an easy thing. Like I have mentioned earlier on that my background was not the flourishing one. From having to survive through making hair as a way of living to become a doctor. Remember, there's certain marks that you need to achieve for you to qualify for medicine. There's certain marks. And those marks are not dependent on personally where you went to in terms of schooling. It has everything to do. It's an integrated thing. Your things that you are dealing with. And experience has taught me that most of us who are coming from a similar background, they don't have enough time and energy to zoom into their dreams and push their dreams because they are demanded by means of living. We draw our attention so much into getting a living. Because most of my people that I went to school with in Cape Town, they left school, some they finished matric and went to look for a job. You understand? So we are like in a space yobana ufuna ukursurvive. But you need money, you need to survive. So for me, I ask God to give me the discipline to rather survive with the 80 bucks for the whole month just to make sure that I can study and become this doctor. Nobody's going to do it for me. It's only God and myself. So I allowed myself to be at the space of being broke and hungry just to make sure that I make it. So it was not an easy transition, but I was so focusing on making it. So the transition you're asking me about from being a nurse to be a doctor, for me, it was an exciting thing. With all the challenges that were happening, less sleep, toxicity in the workplace, all those things, for me, they didn't matter. I was so grateful every day. The fact that I go to school, I study, I pass. For me, it was something to celebrate. That's where your R. Kelly comes in because most of his songs were talking to me. I remember this other song he released in 2004, says Spirit. If you can listen to the lyrics of that song, it says, I can see my destination. I can hear my call. No more hesitation. This time I'm going on. Because it gave me the strength to go on. Because at first, when I couldn't go there, because when I got the space into medicine, but I couldn't study because of money, I was like really, after I fought so hard, making sure that I pass. Because passing even in high school is not an easy thing.
It's not an easy thing.
It's not an easy thing. And for me, I was that person, Yobana, and not how many people who didn't do well. People's marks were not my problem. My marks were my problem. I gave myself a standard with I must get at least a 70 and above. Nothing less than that. So if I get a less than a 70, it was frustrating me because back then, vets used to say you need 70, at least 70 in maths, physics, life science, and home languages. So it was that thing. So that's why I'm saying, for me, the whole journey, desire to become
the
a
hunger
doctor.
to really get to that calling.
Yes.
I think we can describe it as a calling because this is not just a normal push to go after what you're really looking. This was that calling saying, hey, please don't forget about us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that for you. Even when you were a doctor, were you still funding it through making hair alone?
No, after I became a professional nurse, I was able to forget about hair because I could afford. I could afford, and I don't want to lie, it changed everything for me. I was so grateful. And I was like, it doesn't matter whether I get a scholarship or not. At least I can afford my fees in MPSHB. So I didn't need hair after that.
You didn't need hair after
Even
that.
though I missed it because I was married to that profession. I fell in love
I mean,
with
it's what actually brought you closer to your dream in any case. Yeah.
Yes. Even when I reconciled with this other lady who stays here now, who moved from Cape Town, she was like, my Sisonke, my hairdresser, ever since she left Cape Town, I've never done my hair before. Yes.
Oh, that's
So,
much of an impact you've made in their life.
yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the hair was something that I struggled to do away with, but it was time.
It was
It gets to
time.
the point whereby you need to move on.
Yeah.
In as much as I had to move on from nursing to doctor and start nursing this new baby of becoming a heart doctor.
Generally in your life, what's the one thing that you found yourself struggling with that a lot of people probably could not know, that you had to really work hard to overcome, besides just the struggle of you chasing this dream? Have you ever found yourself in a position where on a personal level, you had to really fight a struggle, even if it was silently? And how did you overcome that?
For me, the only thing that I can say it went along those lines, in Doyobana, when I believe something is right, I go for it, I fight for it. And it doesn't matter how many people who believes in it. I'm that person, Obana, you have a multitude going that side, and I will go alone to that. That's something I can say it's something that I've struggled with, because it started with the issues of circle of friends. You know, when you're a teenager, people want to relax, want to have fun. And I was that serious person who wants to achieve. So it made it difficult, because they felt like I'm a bit...
out of touch with reality, sort of.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm too serious about life. I must live a little. And I didn't have room to live a little. I'm one person who is not emotionally shaky. I didn't find a room to cry. Instead of crying, I'd rather pray. So when I'm desperate or at my lowest point, because remember, when you try to take everything serious, your eyes of everybody are on you. So once you fall, like, aha, you understand? Mrs. Perfect. So instead of crying in those moments, especially adversity, for me, it was a way of keeping this firmness. Life ayikho ngokukhala. Alikho ixesha lokukhala ngoku, siyasebenza girl. Uwile uzawuvuka. We need to become a doctor. If you are crying yourself there, uzophelelwa energy to push. You need to study. The brain needs to work, and it cannot work when it's under pressure. You're going to be depressed. And there was a point whereby nobody believed in me. Like I told you, I mean, imagine a Kasi girl merely doing hair. That time, remember, I was not even having a matric. Talking about becoming a doctor, it was a pipe dream.
It wasn't making sense. Yeah.
My old friend used to even say, "Hayi wena, abantu ababangogqirha abaphumi kule track of life uphuma kuyo. Oh, stop daydreaming. You haven't even passed matric. How do you think?" So it didn't end that time. Even when I was a nurse already, it was that thing. It didn't happen. That's how it stopped daydreaming. Not directly, but it was those vibes. So I couldn't get good, what you call firm relationships, because I was dreaming big.
The negative energy around a lot of people with regards to what you were trying to achieve for yourself.
Because I felt like people don't believe in things happening. Bafuna ubona signs. And I was this Christian girl who believes that God is able to do things. It doesn't matter how he does it. It doesn't have to be logical to how we expect it. He does make it. So so I didn't fit in many people. So I made a personal choice about, let me vibe with everyone, but I don't have to keep anything too tight, because my aura is a bit stiff for many. So ngathi nansi into bendistrugglisha ngayo.
So Sisi, where to from here?
From here, the dream is big. Ayikwazi nocaciswa. Because in as much as ndingathi ndifuna uba cardiothoracic surgeon, I don't want to be a general cardiothoracic surgeon. I want to be a super specialist heart transplant cardiothoracic surgeon.
That's big.
Yes, we don't have many in here at home.
No, we don't.
More from what I have done research on, it's big on Cape Town because that's our major heart special with the museum and all that. Even though all our medical schools do cardiothoracic surgery, but when we have to do planned, more successful heart transplants, they are mainly done there. So I want to bring that in Gauteng and make it a norm that in South Africa we are doing successful heart transplants. That's where I'm heading to.
That is big.
Going big, hospital, everything that is going to make us known to be the top heart surgeons in the world.
In the world.
Yes.
I believe in you. Given your story, I believe you're definitely going to go there because no one can stop you. And what would you say to anyone who's sitting with a dream and is surrounded by all of these naysayers? I mean, these little voices that were saying in your head that who do you think you are? How are you even going to get there? What would you say to that person? Given your faith also, because I think you also talk a lot about how your faith has helped you get where you are.
Yes, 100%. I can say to that person, in life, you must tell yourself one thing. You need to be your number one fan and support. You need to believe in what you want before you let people believe. You must not wait for people to believe in what you want to achieve. Believe in it and pray for it, but believe in it. Because when you believe in what you want, even if it's shaky or it's not popping, you are patient enough. When it doesn't go well, you don't get that discouragement with I made a wrong mistake, a wrong dream and all that. You have an understanding that it's part of the process. It's part of growth. You become steadfast. That sense of resilience comes naturally, and you don't get time to watch who's watching or who's laughing. Ngobana uba zoomed. So I say to that person, they must view life as something that gives you a chance to try again every day and tell yourself that awuluzi uyafunda. Everything that doesn't go right, it's a lesson, not a loss, not a failure.
So, Sisi, if you were a plate of food and you had to serve yourself to a large crowd of people, what would you have on that plate and why?
Oh, I'll be a steak, baby. I'll be a steak. It's full of protein that builds your muscle. So I'm that muscle feeder that if I'm there, you will be big and cute and sexy. But if you don't take care of me, you're
gone.
I'm gone.
Yeah.
I'm gone. You see the wasting that happens when you don't have the muscle.
Yeah.
The opposite of the hot sexy with the muscle build, but with no nourishment. So I would be the steak.
So basically, you are really all about feeding. Just keep on feeding it. It's going to grow.
I like seeing people winning. Yeah. That's the thing. That's me. I don't want to win alone. I believe in us. I don't believe in me. So I like people winning. So if you are not a person who doesn't want to push for the greatest, you don't belong in my circle because I'm going to be too pressurizing for you. And for me, it happens naturally. I don't want people who look here, who look life as it comes. I want people who have bigger picture, who have vision. People who have been in my circle, they can attest to this. It's not something that I'm self-claiming. That's how I am. Everywhere I go, that's the energy I'm spreading. So if you are a scared person, you won't feel comfortably in my
around
circle.
You.
Yes, because you feel like ngati too much. But if you love growing, trust me.
It's on. And if you were a drink of choice, like a cocktail of some sort, what would you be?
Yeah, because Andy selling alcohol, so Andy has the goodies. Which ones are the good ones?
No, just a drink of choice. Even if it's a non-alcoholic one, it just has to be whatever that you feel like.
Strawberry Dakar, baby. Strawberry Dakar.
The virgin one.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Because my taste will give you the sense of self-actualization.
Hi, Mo.
You can't have Sisonke and still have doubts in your life or feel less of yourself. Once you have me in your pocket, you feel like the game has changed. In as much as once I'm not there, you'll feel the
difference.
Void.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sisi, thank you so much for joining me on this conversation. I've really enjoyed learning about you and your story, and you've really inspired me to dream bigger than I ever have. And I hope this also inspires someone who's watching this to know that through resilience, through not giving up, putting in the work, you can really get to the places that you aspire to be. Thank you so much, Sisi.
Thank you so much for your time.
That's it from me. I will see you in the next episode. Bye.